Hey guys, Ron here. So a couple of months ago there was a trend on Twitter where artists create new Pokemon just by changing one letter of an existing Pokemon. I thought this trend was phenomenal, and since I have hands and an encyclopedic knowledge of Pokemon, I thought it would make sense for me to take a crack at this challenge. If you're new, make sure to check out all my other Fakemon videos after this. You won't regret it. If you're not new, that means you're old. That's just how things work. So, the first Pokemon I wanted to do is a bit different. The way I'm going to change a letter in Mantyke's name is by completely taking it out and not replacing it with another. That's right, we're going to be making an Antyke, baby. What if Mantyke was an ant? Would you still love Mantyke if it was an ant? I sure hope so, because this will honestly work the best out of all of these since it already has these antennas. There's no crazy concept though, so not much to do but begin drawing this bug. It's just a couple of circles with antennas, slapping a Mantyke face on that ant head. The problem is Mantyke's face looks creepy without color, like it just looks like it's staring into the abyss. Now trust me, it'll stay creepy since we're turning a manta ray into an ant, but it won't be this creepy once the colors kick in. I did a little clever thing by making its limbs look like its antennas. Okay, I haven't said antennas this many times in 1 minute. There are tons of bug Pokemon with only one set of arms and legs, so I thought it was fine to leave out 2 of its ant legs, but don't tell anybody that those 2 dots on its chest are vestigial arms. Dude looks like he's happy to invite you into his home, his little ant colony. Refining the sketch before adding Mantyke's literal colors, here is Antyke, the buoyant Pokemon. These seafaring bug types have hollow abdomens full of water and air, allowing them to float and swim. When a flying-type predator appears above them, they release a blast of air and water from their mouths, allowing them to sink into the water and swim to safe depths. They form highly cooperative colonies underwater. They are super friendly and are particularly close to Remoraid, who they usually compete with in water gun competitions. It senses the change in water flow and weather using their antenna. They will approach boats. Humans will let them eat leftover crumbs. When it pops its head out of the water, it is mistaken for a Mantyke. It has the abilities Water Absorb, Swarm, and Water Veil. Its shiny is the same as its original Pokemon inspiration, just like all the shinies in this video will be. This is one of the only Pokemon in the video that would work in the Pokemon world. It could easily be a regional fake like Wiglet or Toadstool. I think you'd easily fall in love with it once you get over the uncanniness of seeing a Pokemon you're familiar with have a completely different body shape. It was a cool first example of what we're doing here today. The next one is pretty simple as well. Okay, I mean, they're all simple. We're literally just changing a letter. I'm gonna take Porygon and turn it into Porygon! What if Arceus imbued the virtual Pokemon with its powers, creating a virtual god in his own image? I'm going to take Porygon's face and give it an Arceus cranium. I'm also going to give it an Arceus wheel that is basically turning Porygon into a god. It'll be a 2-dimensional plane, unlike the rest of Porygon's 3D faces. Its legs become arms. Now originally I just copied and pasted one of the arms because I was lazy, but this compositionally works really well because it looks like the meteors that are falling when it uses judgment. The point is that the geometry on its head is being extruded outwards and glitching. This entire Pokemon will be partially glitchy since it can't really contain the power of God in a stable manner. This guy is Arceus, but with an AI brain, so its decisions are much more erratic and unpredictable. Completing the designs before adding Porygon's color scheme with a hint of yellow. Now it has the color scheme that matches the secondary colors of light, magenta, cyan, and yellow. Here is Porygon, the virtual reality Pokemon. Once Arceus, the sole creator, heard word of a man-made Pokemon, it came down and imbued Porygon with its power to show humanity what true creation was. Initially, Porygon was taking well to its newly granted abilities, allowing it to create virtual characters and worlds that others could see and interact with. But the bugs in its code manifested in a terrible way, leading to Porygon's rampage. It unleashed the power of Arceus on humanity. Darkness swiftly overtook the land, and meteors fell from the sky. Thankfully, all of Porygon's creations were mere illusions, but the fear and panic caused by Porygon's virtual reality caused mass hysteria. Arceus came down to take back its powers, fixing its mistake. This collaboration between man and Arceus was a failure. It has the ability multi-type. There is no reason for this kind of Pokemon to roam the earth. Its existence isn't very safe, so I gave it this short story type of lore. It could easily be the plot of a Pokemon film with a climactic battle between it and Arceus. The point is that it isn't your average Pokemon. If you like the idea of Porygon-Arceus fusions, you'll like Porygon. Next is a funny one. To be fair, this entire concept is humorous. Yamask is an interesting Pokemon. What if it were more animalistic? I'm going to replace the Y with an H and give us Hamask. This non-kosher ghost is basically a similar idea to the mask. What if a pig put on a mask that, possessed it? The mask is just Yamask's mask, no change there. Then I'm gonna give it the body of a Poképig, basically the proportions of a cross between Lechonk and Oinkologne. Its hooves are modeled after Yamask's eyes, and its tail is reminiscent of Yamask's weird hands. I was gonna add ears, but I thought that kinda ruined the striking aspect of the unobscured mask. But to make sure to fill in some of the empty space, I gave it this cursed pattern to make it look more possessed. Check out Yamask, the spirit Pokemon. This Pokemon is possessed by the spirit of a deceased human. The mask acts as a conduit between the soul and the original Pokemon's body. It roams around seeking the location of its past life. Some say the soul belonged to a human from a long-lost civilization, dooming Yamask to roam the region endlessly, with no hope in finding remnants of its past life. It has the ability Mummy. I think this Pokemon has a chance in being a Yamask form in my future Pokemon region. Perhaps there are Yamask masks scattered throughout the region, and some poor unfortunate pig Pokemon put it on and became Yamask. I love the contrast between the serious mask and goofy chubby body. It's kind of tragic in some way. Looks like an ancient figurine. Next is the most intuitive one, and it could easily be a regional form, Sudowoodo. It's a sumo tree. It's actually a pretty natural progression from Bonsly, which is already Japanese themed. It could even be a separate evolution. But today, let's just make Sudowoodo wide. So I'm not lying, I'm literally starting off with a wide Sudowoodo base. It'll have a piece of wood that goes around its waist and nether regions to simulate the look of a mawashi, the traditional garb of a sumo wrestler. And the branch on its head will look more like a top knot to mimic the look of a chonmage. Dude is serious and way more brave than a Sudowoodo. Refining it now, the rest is just what you're familiar with, but thicker. Same with the colors, but with a darker, more healthy colored growing. Cause this is Sudowoodo, a grass fighting type. Unlike Sudowoodo, Sudowoodo is made of soft, pliable wood. It retains a lot of water in its body. It constantly drinks to bulk up, and is unmovable. It's a master of staying in place. It will take endless beatings. It is incredibly brave and honorable. In ancient times, Sudowoodo were used to guard castles. It spent its time competing with Hariyama. It is a very respectable rival. Sudowoodo are proud of their friends' accomplishments and are glad to be a part of their rival's improvement. It has the abilities Sturdy, Guts, and Sheer Force. I hope you understand that this is a grass type now, since it doesn't have Pseudo in the name anymore. I love the duality between its adversarial expression and its actual personality. It's very loyal. I can respect it. Next is the most natural sounding change. I'm going to take Happiny and turn it into Happiny. That's right, it'll be a kangaroo. Think about it. I'm not going to even say why the design of a Happiny would translate really well into a kangaroo. Just check this out. We're making a Happiny with a snoot. It's jumping in the air because it's happy and also a kangaroo. It's basically all it does. I'm placing the rock on its pouch. That's right, the Blissey line is already very kangaroo-like, except they lay eggs. Perhaps they're a cross between marsupials and monotremes, which kinda existed in the past. Metatherians were marsupials that laid eggs. Very fascinating. Almost as fascinating as Happiny's huge ears. I took its ponytail and duplicated it. Very natural. It's almost like it was meant to be a kangaroo. The feet were next, that was the main event, then a tail stylized like the ears, refining the sketch before giving it Happiny's colors. I didn't feel like making it brown. Say hi to Happiny, the jumping Pokemon. From the moment they leave the pouch of their mothers, these Pokemon begin to hop around at astonishing speeds and heights. They are incredibly caring. They carry a white rock to emulate their mothers. It spends all of its time focusing on making sure its rock doesn't fall out as it hops around. This distraction causes Happiny to frequently bump into trees. It loves to play around with children. It will let its most cherished friends hold its rock for a few minutes. Its abilities and shiny is the same as Happiny. It's a kangaroo Happiny. What more can I say? Probably the least change so far, so I can't really take that much credit. And now I want to take little old Trapinch and make it even more dangerous. Trapinch is where I'm going with this. It'll be a Trapinch that can punch. So the recipe for a Trapinch is as follows. Take the proportions of a Trapinch and add 2 giant fists the size of Trapinch's head. Make it stand up with those stubby feet and adjust its existing patterns to make it look more like the patterns of a jumpsuit. Refining it a bit before adding pincers on its arms as well, with a little bump that looks like a vestigial fist. Cause psych! Once I added the colors, I wrapped its arms in this pattern that looks like bandages. It works with both the fighting and ground type. Here is Trapinch, the fight pit Pokemon. Trapinch will spar with each other in sand pits. Other Trapinch will stand at the top of the pit and watch as 2 Trapinch duke it out in the pit. Trapinch is unflinching in the face of any attack. While they take damage, they won't show it. Their expression remains blank as they pummel their opponents with tough pincer fists. In a Pokemon battle, as a last resort, they will use their pincers to clamp down on their foe. However, they never use this technique when fighting amongst themselves in sand pits. It waits at the bottom of sand pits for a fair fight. They have the abilities Iron Fist, Arena Trap, and Sheer Force. I like the idea of a Trapinch fight club. I hope you like the idea of this video too. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Check out all of the other Fakemon art videos I do too. Subscribe if you haven't, and consider becoming a patron or clicking the join button to get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early and a huge discount on the t-shirts I made for you guys. Follow me on Twitter where I post sneak peeks and final art of my designs. Bye!